All right, first and foremost, want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world calls Christ, and Mashiach Yahawashi, but the chief priest, AHLAZAR, BANLAWYA, a.k.a. the Gorilla Hebrew man on the check-in. All praises. All praises. You know, we talking about tonight Yahawashi, who the world called Jesus Christ, in history and in prophecy. And this is going to be based off a couple of debates I've had within the last month or so. One with Brother Judah Nasser on whether or not Yahawashi would sit on the throne of David. And another was a team debate with myself, Sister Napasha Da, Elder Yara versus Jabari on is Jesus a historical character? Can we prove him historically? So we're going to do a deep dive into those. Of course, both of those debates were behind paywalls on Sonetta's platform, utilized to stimulate, Sonetta's monetization and cash flow, being that YouTube had recently demonetized our brother, our elder brother, who've been putting in this work for a long time. So I'll be going into my presentations that were utilized in both of those debates through the Spirit, so you guys could take a look at the information again, prophetically and historically, talking about our King, the Messiah, Yahawashi, the only begotten of the Most High Yahweh. Right? Before we go any further, we do have a sponsor tonight. Yes, y'all, we have a sponsor tonight. Kingdom Vibes, right? Let me put the link in the chat. Make sure I pin that too. Gonna pin Kingdom Vibes. It'll be pinned all night to the top of the chat, the live chat. Kingdom Vibes. The website is pinned there in the live chat. Vibes with a Z, kingdom.com. Right? Strong Brother in His Truth recently launched his own clothing brand. And I'm rocking one of the jerseys, man, a dope camouflage jersey. Right? Israelite Vibes camouflage jersey. Man, you said what? He just dropped one too. Let me show you the one he just dropped. I wish he would have had this one when he was asking me what I want, because I'd have had to get the orange. I ain't gonna lie to you. But this blue one's hard. This multi blue one's hard. I got my Yahawashi special seats too with it. You know what I'm saying? To go with it. Praise the Lord. But yeah, man, he got all kind of dope stuff, man. I really like his approach to his designs, his brand. You know, a vast array of colorways and a good balance of products and things like that available. Again, Vibes with a Z, kingdom.com. Right? Support Israelite business, support the Israelite economy, circulate the Israelite dollar. Right? Remember to do all those various things. Again, this jersey I got on right now, that you can see it there, is $60. Right? They got the black and gold as well. He's got the various headbands, polo shirts, t-shirts, crew necks, bucket hats. Man, he got what you need over there at vibeskingdom.com. All right. So definitely want to encourage everybody to get over there. He sponsored tonight's class. So all praise, honor, and glory to you. How about you, man? I was shy for that. You know, but definitely what we'll do is we will start with questions. We will start with a few questions from the chat before we get into the presentations. We're going to start with some questions from the chat. So go ahead and shoot y'all questions. Let me get Z's mic live through the Spirit. Of course, I got War Dog Isaiah reading for me masterfully, powerfully in the Spirit. Right, so we'll be taking y'all questions to start off. I think there's a couple of topics I want to touch on briefly. You said what? He's gone? Yeah, I think there's a couple of topics I want to touch on. Big up to Sister Danae in the chat. Big up to Officer Priest Nakawam BANLAWYA in the chat. Big up to Soldier, Papa SICARRI Bricklayer in the chat. Nef the Kingdom, a tremendous supporter. Uncle Saint, everybody in the chat, man. Shalom to y'all. Listen, I want y'all to know something, man. This Monday night, it is a new moon, the seventh new moon of the Hebrew year. It is the Feast of Trumpets. I just want y'all to know that coming into this next lunar cycle, man, big things popping, man. A lot of special announcements, Lord willing, will be coming through the spirit and power of Yahawashi. I want y'all to stay tuned to. Man. Some good stuff I think y'all will be very excited and happy about, and opportunities that y'all will jump on. I'm telling y'all. Big, powerful new moon, high holy day coming up, Feast of Trumpets. And we out here, we blowing the trumpet, man, through the spirit of the Most High. Right? What is the spirit of adultery? Well, the spirit of anything is behavior or being compelled, thoughts, desires that are leading into said thing. So the spirit of adultery is you thinking about somebody else's wife, right? That's the spirit. There's a spirit there that's leading you. And you know, the object of your thoughts is somebody else's woman. That is a spirit of adultery, right? Which is really all goes back into covetousness, being covetous, right? Matter of fact, give me when Yahawashi says that. Because truly, he didn't bring anything new when he said that. That all goes back to thou shalt not covet. We went deep into covetousness just last week when we went into those parables. I'm going to isolate those. For the channel. Right? Kwanayan Shalom, man. Powerful soldier out of Long Beach. Tazarat, powerful officer out there in AZ and Vegas. All praise Salaki. Big up everybody in the building, man. We live on Chief Dome. We live on Exodus 7, SICARRI Exodus 17:15. We live on Public Enemies. We live on X. So big up to everybody who's tuned into all the platforms. But yeah, shoot them questions.
You want to get that in Matthew 5 still?
Get that real quick.
This book of St. Matthew chapter 5, starting at verse 27. It says, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. You've heard thou shalt not commit adultery. Go ahead.
It says, but I say unto you that whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his mind.
So now let's go to Exodus 20. Let's go there.
Con. The book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
Thou shalt what?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
So what Yahawashi is saying in Matthew 5 is already what was reiterated or what was iterated initially in Exodus 20.
Exactly.
Coveting your neighbor's wife. That's Exodus 20 and what?
It's 17.
And 17. Now watch this. Let's just show y'all this real quick. 20 and 17. Thou shalt not covet. It says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Okay. Covet. Right? Desire.
Right.
To take pleasure in, to delight in. See that? You want your neighbor's wife in a sexual context, you have coveted her.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what Yahawashi is. He's teaching the law. That's what he's teaching. Right? That's what he's always been teaching. All along through the spirit. Right? Go ahead.
It says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Y'all may do a whole lesson on just that one law.
Yeah.
Covetousness. Yeah. To covet. The spirit of covetousness, which eats a lot of our people alive. Right. A lot of our people are possessed with the demon of covetousness. And that has we could go all the way back. That's such a deep breakdown. We could go into how to sell to the Negro. That's going to be a key opener for thou shalt not covet. Because why? What are they taking advantage of when they market to us and they understand that we are quick to spend our money, right? Because we don't want people to get the impression that we don't have it. Right? It's covetousness in a lot of our people. And the covetousness actually comes from being deprived. right? We come from such a royal background. We come from so much resource. To be stripped of that and to be in an economic disposition where you're at the bottom, it's actually not in accordance with our spirit. It's not in accordance with our epigenetics.
Yeah.
It's not. So now we do various things because we are covetous, because we don't have. Right? But all of it really is just the byproduct of violating the laws of the Most High, because the only reason why we want possessions is because we broke the laws of God. We would never want, if we kept the laws of the Most High the whole time, he would just have us in our kingdom living it up. But because we violated, we've been stripped of all of that. Solomon McFadden, Yahawashi, Yahawashi, Barakatha, Watha, Water for your continued support, my brother. Minori Amori says in John 6:54-56, what do it mean that Yahawashi preparing his blood and flesh to food and drink, going to life? I mean, it's right there. All you have to do is read it, but let's go.
This is the book of St. John, chapter 6, starting at verse 54. It said, whoso eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eats my flesh and drinks my blood dwells in me, and I in him.
Keep going.
Verse 57. It says, as the living Father have sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eats me, even he shall live by me. That is, that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead. He that eats of this bread shall live forever.
Keep going.
It says, these things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. This John ripped out. Where I'm at, John 6. It says, these things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, this is an hard saying. Who can hear it? When Yahawashi knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, does this offend you?
Read on.
Verse 62. What and if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? It is the spirit that quickens, the flesh profits nothing.
Read on.
The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
So what is he telling you? What I just told you is spiritual.
Right.
I'm talking about spiritually eating my flesh, spiritually drinking my blood, being a partaker with me.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
It says, verse 64, but there are some of you that believe not. For Yahawashi knew from the beginning who they were that believed not, and who should betray him. And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him of my Father.
Simple. So that's all it's talking about. This spiritually talking about partaking and becoming one, entering into union with Hamashiach Yahawashi. And you can only do that through the Father. Only the Father would allow something like that, can allow something like that. It's not, it's really, again, with some of this stuff, when you deal with the parables, a lot of them breakdown is right there. You just have to keep reading. It's right there.
God, excellent. With that covetousness, you think that you remember that video you had brought up selling to the Negro? That'd be a good addition to that too.
That's what I said.
I was reading comments.
You good. Yeah, is that what I said?
That's powerful though.
Spiritual.
We're in the same mindset.
We're in the same spirit.
That's funny as hell. Because I definitely didn't hear that. I ain't going.
I want some damn food. Yeah, I know I want a piece. I want some real food. What am I go to? There's too many. There ain't no go-to sources. Just a plethora. Watch my debates and presentations on the topic and take a look at what's presented there, and those are the ones. But the number one is the Bible, obviously. You know, it's way too many. Like Neff said, so much is crazy. One second. Salakia, y'all. What's your thoughts on the Venezuelan folks? Is there possible prophecy? It's not directly a prophecy. But it's a part of gathering of mingled peoples. Give me something like that. Babylon, all the mingled peoples therein. It's a part of exacerbating, just flooding this Babylon with people for a judgment. Number one. Number two, of course, is just Babylon bringing people in so they can draft them to fight in the army because the average American is not fit. Who's seen these Venezuelan gangs? I did a research on the Venezuelan gangs. Them niggas taking over apartment complexes, man. I'm talking about, man, they getting niggas out of their house.
Knocking on doors.
Asher ain't coming to play with you niggas, man. They've been living in hell for quite some time, man. America is ice cream cake to them niggas. Right, go ahead.
Yeah, Aurora and Colorado, it's gonna be over.
Yeah, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, the book of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 50, we're gonna start at verse 35. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Yahweh, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her.
It's all different nations in this place, right? This is the gang right here. Trendy Aragua. You niggas is serious, man. These Trendy Aragua. I was doing research. It ain't nothing to play with. But it's mingled people. It's all sorts of people that are here in this country right now. There's a sword against the mingled people. These people have been brought here for judgment, man. Exactly. Right? Asherites, all the tribes brought here for judgment. Right? Now all you heard about is the Asherites. Why? You niggas got to start. What was I was saying the other day, Tazalia? You got to start looking at when the media makes somebody the villain, you should already know what time it is. When the media makes somebody, go ahead, Tazalia. They get mad at the quote unquote migrants. Yeah. Now the migrants are the new villain. And the Negro coming up talking like he's just Negroes just become super Americans. Yeah. The Judites. Man, you got people coming into this country taking a job. These migrants are giving the migrants money. They're talking like they just super Americans and shit. Right. They don't give a damn about you. This was their whole country. You know that, right? Yeah. Go ahead. Oh no, but they kicking it with Ishmael. Ishmael's coming over on the same thing. Them Chinese illegals. You ain't having no problem with them. Elam, Ham, deep over here illegal. They up in that stinking African shop, getting their hair braided, knowing it's stinking, but let it be a Israelite-owned business. They're gonna put them on TikTok. They're gonna go viral. Yep. But the Hamites, you know, you're gonna go sit in that stinking ass Hamite establishment. Get them damn boho knotless braids. Okay.
Jake's so collaborative, he'll get paid to help a Hamite come over here.
Yeah.
Fake marriage.
He will fake marriage, all that. Meanwhile, I gotta drive up and down Atlanta and see these niggas with their crusty ass feet out.
Right. All down.
Just they can't dress.
There's so many Hamites.
These Hamites, man. Okay, what are they doing? Stinking.
God.
You can smell it from inside the car.
God.
They ain't complaining about that. But let me tell you about this gang. Trendy Aragua is the largest criminal organization in Venezuela with over 5,000 members. Trendy Aragua is led by Hector Rutherford Guerrero Flores, alias Niño Guerrero. He was incarcerated in the Tucumán prison, which functioned as the organization's de facto headquarters. The gang has since expanded throughout Latin America and the United States amidst the Venezuelan refugee crisis, with growth of the gang following the migration of Venezuelans to host nations. Due to the severity of its crimes, combating the gang has become a priority to many nations where Trendy Aragua has entered. Though Tucumán prison was intervened in 2023, leadership escaped and the gang's activities continue to this day, including an incident involving the gang's members to be associated with forcibly taking control of residential apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado on August 29th, 2024. The incident included video footage of armed men overrunning apartment buildings in Aurora and was confirmed to be members of Trendy Aragua by the mayor of the suburb of the Denver metropolitan area. So these niggas, they dead serious.
On everything. And they come from the headquarters.
They coming straight from the headquarters, and they come in and they executing and they making sure things is getting in order for their gang, right? Now, y'all know they beefing with Issachar at Home Depot.
Yeah.
You heard about that. They beefing over with Issachar for their job. Yeah. There is a beef between the Venezuelans and they going to Chicago. See, Chicago, man, them Latin kings, they not playing with them niggas. Chendegua, you niggas got to turn king, nigga, or it's going to be an all-out war. But Aurora, Colorado has seemingly been wide open,
wide open
for the AHLAZAR brothers. Yeah. Okay, this is but this is all a part of the Most High bringing that judgment. The Most High is bringing that judgment, right? Sister Shell said, "Hamite did my hair just today." He's so good at doing my hair, though. I need him in the kingdom. He will serve you in the kingdom, sister. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, right? But yeah, so that's the kind of thing going on with the exactly like they got us fighting over crumbs. That's what that whole concept is with the villainization of the Venezuelans. The whole concept is about having us all fighting over crumbs.
Right.
That's what's going on with this, with the Israelite, with the tribe, with the so-called minorities, with the BIPOC community. We just fighting over the crumbs at the bottom. Right? Well, it's sick. It's twisted. Right? You got something else?
Yeah, Deshaun Dillard says, Shalom, how do you disprove Deuteronomy 22 and 25 applies to all women and not just a promised woman?
Well, brother, because Deuteronomy is a reiteration of laws that are elsewhere. So all we have to do is cross-reference it with the other law that originally existed, which is Exodus 22. Very simple. Whoa, wait, hold on. He asked about 25?
Yeah, verse 25. 22 and 25, yeah.
It's a betrothed damsel.
I don't know. Yeah, he said, how to disprove Deuteronomy 22 and 25 applies to all and not just a promised woman. You don't have to disprove. Okay. Yeah, that's what he asked. How do you disprove that it applies to all? Somebody tried to use this to say it applies to all women, basically. And not
no.
Not just a promise. Shalom.
No, that's not what he said. Yeah, rephrase your question out.
He said, the follow-up to it said somebody tried to make an argument saying God allows rape of women that are not betrothed, since that verse says betrothed. That's a lot.
All you got to do is cross-reference the law. Very simple. Deuteronomy is not an original place for the most part. It's either expounding upon laws or reiterating laws, right? So if we just go here, 22, right? And if a man entices a maid that is not betrothed, right, and lie with her, see that she shall be his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give him, he shall pay money according to. Did it say he can just rape her? No, right? So again, this is the issue that lies here, is a nigga is telling you that something can happen. This is the only matter of force that's mentioned in the law, right? So we could just go off of this. Now, here's what the nuance is in 25. If a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and a man force her and lie with her, then that man only will lay with her shall die. Why? But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. The whole reason why this is being isolated here is because if she is betrothed, and to determine whether or not she was a consenting party in the situation, which would make her an adulteress. Right. This is why this is isolated versus the other situations. But period here, when we take a look at how forcing is looked at, this gives you the understanding versus when we go to enticement that's in Exodus 22. This is expounding on that whole situation. Now, if you go to, if he find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, lay, and they be found, lay now, not forced here. Now, if they say it's okay, where are they getting that from? Right. Because this is the example of force. I'm not even sharing the screen. Salaki. Keyword force. But yeah, no, it's expounded on that, right? But again, the reason why it's here is all based on an enticement and the status of the woman who was enticed. Are you asking the question? You can't marry women who have children from other Israelite men. Where is that at in the Bible? Nadu Cash, man. Shalom says, how you feeling?
Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Dalen Cooper said, Georgia is primarily Judah and a little bit of Levite land, right? Because my dad told me his father's father was enslaved there. Just want to know my specific tribe. Georgia
is not Levite land. Georgia is, you have Judites here, and also you have Reubenites there at the bottom. This is Creek and Cherokee. Right. So it's the Reuben and Gad border here in Georgia prior to the importation of Judah, and then, of course, richly Judah.
The next question is
I'm like Cupid, man.
Monair Omari said, how does someone who has awoken to the truth or starting to get back into their spirit be reconciled back into the covenant?
Huh? Ask me again.
How does someone who has awoken to the truth or just starting to get back into that spirit be reconciled back into the covenant?
You don't need to be reconciled back into the covenant.
Right.
You're already in the covenant. Abraham made a covenant that his grandson Israel inherited through his seed line. If you're that seed line, you're in the covenant. There's nothing that you have to do. There's no choices. There's nothing you can do to be in or out of that. You're in the covenant. There's nothing you can do. All right, we're all in the old covenant.
Right. And ultimately, the reconciliation came through the bloodshed.
But it's still not a reconciliation into the old covenant, though. Yeah. He said to be reconciled back into a covenant. You can't be. You're already in the covenant. The bloodshed is about the new covenant, which nobody's in. We got more questions before we get into this. Definitely hit the like button. You're telling me that, okay, based on what law says that? Because last I checked, if the law says that if your brother dies and his wife doesn't have sons, right? Because this is what he just said. This made up stuff he's kicking. You can't, sisters that has children with, basically saying you can't marry a sister that has a children with Israelite man. But if your brother's wife didn't have a son but had all daughters and he dies, you're obligated by law, you're commanded by law to have sex with her, take her to wife, and have kids with her. So, brother, that's not true, right? So we're going to go ahead and put you on timeout because you're just here making assertions that are not backed at all by scripture. There's a million verses to pair with John 3:16, brother. Matthew 24:14. Sakina, what's going on? Shalom, sis.
You ready?
Yeah.
This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 24, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
So what is his question? When will that take place? It's taking place, brother. You can watch this gospel be preached in all the world right now. It's not just the gospel is not preached in just Babylon. So no, it's not talking about just Babylon. Brother said, do I know the year the Judites migrated to Georgia? The Judites never migrated to Georgia, brother. They were forcibly enslaved and imported into Georgia. So let's just, I can't give you the exact year, but let me help you out here. Let's just do it. Let's take a look. Right, I'm thinking about doing live research classes too soon. Yeah, live research class. Show y'all brothers how to research. Let's just look up slavery in Georgia. Slavery in Georgia has been practiced by European colonists during the colonial era. Practice of slavery in Georgia soon became surpassed by industrial scale plantation slavery. The colony of province of Georgia under James Oglethorpe banned slavery in 1735, the only one of the 13 colonies to have done so. However, it was legalized by royal decree in 1751, in part due to George Whitfield's support for the institution of slavery. Okay, the pre-colonial period, Native Americans enslaved members of their own tribes and other tribes before Europeans arrived, and afterwards continuing into the 1800s. Slaves might or might not be adopted eventually, especially if enslaved as children, and the enslavement might or might not be hereditary. Native American slaves included captives from wars and slave raids, captives bartered from other tribes. So this is just how Gad and Reuben was dealing with each other. Okay, so the life of a slave in colonial America differed greatly depending on the colony nature. Okay, boom. The first enslaved Africans in Georgia arrived in 1526. 1526. So it's safe to say that if your parents weren't in Georgia or were in Georgia after 1526, you know, they got a strong likelihood of being Judites. For sure. 1526, brother. It's pretty early. That is pretty early. Any other questions before we get off into the topic? Get off into these very powerful slides through the spirit and power of Yahawashi. The water, Alan Cupid, man, for always doing your part, man, in that chat. Real brother.
Jalen Johnson asked, are there any other verses besides Isaiah?
I'll answer that. He said these Christians Texas like flying cockroaches. I can only imagine, brother. I lived out there in Texas a whole year. Cut many a Christian through the spirit with the sword of the spirit. Yeah, but any other questions, man? Y'all hurry up and shoot them. Definitely make sure y'all get all the vibes with a zkingdom.com. Link in the live chat. That's tonight's sponsor. Get you a dope Israelite Vibes camo jersey like you see I got on. They got multiple colors, all type of various gear. Crew necks is getting ready to get. I know it's hot right now. It's getting ready to get cold though. You're gonna need your crew necks. You're gonna need your tees. You're gonna need everything, man. They got it. Vibeskingdom.com. Also, man, if you want that exclusive Guerrilla Hebrew content, man, get on over to GORRILLA.tv. That is GRLA.tv, as y'all can see. That exclusive content, Guerrilla TV or CZYN.network, man, for all your exclusive content. It's only asking because when we have to purge out the Israelites, who won't conform when we get back to the land, so they will not have the truth, but the end will come. Okay, so Rocco, here's what you need to do, King. You need to think about the verse you're asking about and the question. It said that the truth shall be preached. It didn't say the truth shall be accepted. It didn't say the truth will convert everybody in all nations. It said shall be preached in all nations. That has zero implication on its acceptation. And guess what? The people who are not in Babylon that accept the truth are got to go to the wilderness regardless. Remember, and 2/3 of them are going to be destroyed. Kind of all praises. Shout out, brother Rocco Merriweather. Brother been holding it down for a long time in that chat. Kwame Ma'at. Shalom, man. Big up to you. Appreciate it. In Matthew 22 and 30, what is the resurrection? Let's get to it. Are Afro-Panamanians mostly a combination of Levites and Benjamites? I would say Afro-Panamanians are pretty much entirely Benjamites.
We just went into this last week too.
We did? Okay.
About the Sadducees.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to,
they don't believe in the resurrection.
Exactly. St. Matthew chapter 22, started verse 29. Yahawashi answered and said unto them, you do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God.
Read on.
For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven.
The resurrection is talking about is when your spirit goes up back into the fourth dimension. No, those don't explain that, brother. Those don't explain that. You're just saying stuff now. Are female heirs only allowed to marry within the tribe, or does that not apply since we're not in the kingdom yet? Female heirs are only allowed to marry in the tribe. I don't see how that wouldn't apply. Salakia. When we die, do we go back to the Father or Sheol? The answer is both. Sheol just means the grave. So your body goes to Sheol and your spirit goes back to the Father.
Right.
How do you rectify Abraham coming from Haran or Kasidim in Turkey? Wasn't that made Abraham a European or Eurasian? Is not in Turkey. Is in Iraq, not Turkey. Brother. It's really not hard at all to even that's really easy to figure out. so I can show you. There you go. A war, or city in southern Babylonia, city of the Chaldeans, center of moon worship, home of Abraham's father Terah, and departure point of Abraham's migration to Mesopotamia and Canaan. Right, so is in southern Babylonia. It's not in Ararat. That's where Turkey would be. Ararat, like that region. It's not there. He walked everywhere. He walked further than that. He walked all the way to Canaan. Exactly. That's how people traveled, brother, before the advent of cars and aeroplanes. Okay, this guy's just spamming. There should be no whore. Yes, what is a whore? Someone who exchanges money for sexual gratification. That's a whore, sir. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Y'all niggas just come, sit on your beds, invent doctrines, and then spew them, when actual classes in session. Exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And even still with the situation with Abraham and Terah and Haran, they were just in the midst. They were Hebrews in the midst of other people. It's a whole bunch of other people. It's not just one.
Always was.
Yeah.
Always was a whole bunch of other
people. In the midst of people. They just are part of the chosen lineage in the midst of other people. That's it.
King Tay, yes. All praises, soldier. Y'all glad to hear that. All praises. Any other questions, though? Any other questions? Isaiah 19, that's a whole breakdown that's coming out. Right. So you really can't explain 21 to 25. You have to break down the whole chapter. So I'm not going to go into that currently. That's a whole breakdown that has never been put out before, by us at least. So, no. Any tips on how to study? I can't make tips on how to study. Studying is both spiritual and highly subjective. Spiritual and highly subjective. Is in Iraq, sir. What are you talking about? Is very clearly in Iraq. There's no disputation of that. I know a man who's been to Abraham's house in These are archaeological sites. Come on, brother. Well, soldier of Yah, who said that? Ask yourself, who made that statement? I mean, he was the angel that he was talking to in the burning bush. Yes, Exodus 3. We should do the history first. Cartavis, all praise Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. Just tune in, man. We're going to pump that same edification out at a higher level. Paul did. Paul said that. Interesting. That should tell you what you need to know. I was lost his commands. There's no Joshua. Way truth and life character. I don't understand what you're saying. Yahweh was blessed. Don't understand at all. Yes. What's the biblical perspective of multiple personality disorders, and what is the cause of traits? What should one do to prevent such occurrence? That's called the Bible calls that demonic possession. Demonic possession. Those are demons. All right, give me that. For they are many. Give me that. What happened? Would you happen to know what tribe the Choctaw natives come from? The Choctaw are Reubenites too. I'm correct on that? Let me see.
A little mixture.
Oh, yeah, nah, I think the Choctaw got something to do with people, southeastern Woodlands. Yeah, my dear Muskogee. Yeah, Choctaw. That's the Choctaw. Mounds, yeah. Yeah, I just need one. Yeah, I think they could be Reuben, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're Reuben, like Choctaw is Reuben. Anything Muskogee is Reuben.
Yeah, so not the money group. You are the dummy.
What do you have put on time? Well, Ham gathered Richard first in the last day. What do you mean, Jalen?
Cuffing.
Definitely done with the video. Am I familiar with the Hurrians in Montany? Yes, I did a video going into the Hurrians. That was 10 years ago. That was one of my earlier videos when I first had got brought into the House of Conscience to sign their TV and stuff like that. That was one of my earlier videos dealing with Dr. Ali Muhammad. I think he's calling himself Chief Ali now, something like that. I was dealing with that all the way back then with the Hurrians. There are some problematic theories in regards to a relationship between the Hurrians and the Hebrews. You said what? What is that?
Oh. Soldier, y'all see our Sicilian Israelite.
Yeah, by and large. Okay, so you're saying that the name of cities. So let's take a look at what you're doing. You're telling me because there are cities in a region, 2 cities in a region that are similar to the names of Abraham, that makes him from Turkey. No. It's not what the narrative says at all. Yahweh was blessed. Why would there be? I still don't understand what you're saying. It still doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense. You're asserting their eponymous ancestors. That's an assertion, right? Here's my question: is Abraham a historical figure? Now, how silly this is. Why would Hispanics be damned to hell? And who said anything that anyone's damned to hell? Who said that at all? Dalen Cooper, every video is down. Every video is down. According to scholarly consensus, no. So why does Abraham need eponymous ancestors if he's not real? And then he's not even the founder of the nation in question. And then the founder of the nation, why wouldn't this trend continue down? Why wouldn't there all of these, why won't they all be eponymous ancestors in the mythos? Right. Why only two? Right. See how much sense that doesn't make? Okay, cool. I don't believe anyone is damned to hell. I don't believe in hell. No one's damned to hell because we don't believe in it, Jonah. Right. Okay, so where's the city of Jacob in Israel? Where's that city at? Can you tell me?
Right.
Rocco Mayweather, that'd be, if you wanted to start a sports betting podcast, it would be okay. Go and start whatever podcast you like, brother. I mean, yeah, that would be a part of it, certainly. Yeah, that could be, right? Do I believe there is a heaven? I believe there are multiple heavens. Again, assure is an eponymous answer. Again, that's an assertion. But like for example, let's just take a look at something. Let's go. Let's go here. So if I say Louisiana, right? Let's go to Louisiana. Let's go right here to history of Louisiana. Right? Louisiana, New France. Watch this. And claim, now look at this. French Louisiana was an administrative district of New France. In 1682, the French explorer René Robert Cavelier, Sieur de La Salle, erected a cross near the mouth of the Mississippi River and claimed the whole of the drainage basin of the Mississippi River in the name of King Louis the 14th, naming it Louisiana. Now, is King Louis the 14th real, or is he an eponymous ancestor? No, we know King Louis the 14th is real, and then they named a region after him, right? So what happens is, to attempt to discredit well-documented history, revisers, white revisers, who love to undo and desecrate the various deep historical records of the people of color that preceded them in their rise to prominence in the earth. They like to just chalk everything up to mythology as if there's going to be extensive documents on human beings that lived 3,000 and 4,000 years ago. No, right? So are we going to call Louis the 14th an eponymous ancestor? No. We know that people name areas after people. We know that. Everyone knows that. It doesn't make it an eponymous ancestor. That's ridiculous. Yahweh is blessed. Who said there was? I don't even understand the point there. I got a bunch of foolishness going on in my chat right now. Incredible. LAX, I don't care what you think they're saying. And what I mean by that is what you think doesn't matter. That person has their own perspective that they could come and ask about. Well, if someone has no idea what you believe or teaching, and you're supposed to be teaching from the word, we ask questions to find this out. Well, yeah, and I'm answering your questions that I don't believe in hell, and I believe in multiple heavens. Right? Shalom, I'm gonna send a message on IG. Can I send you a shirt? She emailed me, GORRILLAHebrew@gmail.com. Send me an email. You're telling me what an eponymous ancestor is, as if I'm ignorant to it. I've already engaged you in regards to it, right? And here's what you have to understand as well. You do know that something being mythologized does not invalidate it being real. So a person being a myth created around a person does not invalidate the person's actual existence. You do know that, right? Which, you know. Okay, Elliot. I believe in three heavens. Incredible. You come back from somebody in your paternal lineage, not anybody specifically. So you're I don't know what the term universalist is, so I will not concede to me identifying with that. That's crazy. You know. Goes, yes, the word does state that. Right. So let's get that where everybody goes. Second Ezra 14:35. Why wouldn't they be real? Why can't they be real? That doesn't mean the myth about them has to be real for them to have been real. Ridiculous. Right? Go ahead.
Book of Second Ezra, chapter 14, verse 35. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again.
Say what?
When we shall live again.
After death, you get judged when you live again. Well, where's the seat of judgment? Oh, before God, where's God? In hell? Oh, okay. Just checking. Yahweh is blessed. What you're saying still is not intelligible whatsoever.
Let me get that. So under the sun.
Reggie can say anything he wants. Is not in Europe. It's not. Go ahead.
Yeah, the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
And moreover, when you're dealing with Israelites, we don't believe white people are from Europe.
Right.
We believe Turkey was an African colony at the time.
Yeah.
Anatolia. That you literally had African people had that whole area. According to the Bible, that's what happened.
Right.
Right? The Hittites, the Amorites were controlling that region.
Yeah.
So just make sure when you engage us, you understand what our position is. Because saying someone's from Turkey doesn't change anything. It doesn't make them white. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes 3:16 says, and moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment.
It say what?
Under the sun, the place of judgment.
Go ahead.
That wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
Jonah, he says, so BHI can't agree on the main tenets of your belief because Black Hebrew Israelites is not a religious belief. So there's no reason for us to agree on the main tenets of our religious belief because it's not religious.
Right.
Our claim is ethnic, not religious. It's crazy as hell. Go ahead.
Let's on that.
We're gonna just get into it because there's nothing but at this point stupidity in my chat. So just what's going on here? Let me go share screen. Here we go. All right. Everybody understand? I ain't Bernie James, man. How is it not? This is the type of foolishness I'm talking about. So here's the problem with a lot of that crap on the walls. That people don't know. Do you know that scholars tell you who people are on the walls without the walls indicating who the people depicted are? This is the bullshit I'm talking about, man. Leave that type of shit to Reggie, bro. You know. All right. Who consistently getting embarrassed on these topics. So now you're telling me that scholars are divided on something. Okay, well, that doesn't make you right then, sir. Go ahead and time me out. All right. Go ahead and time your dumb ass out to Jonah. Ridiculous, right? Let's get into tonight's topic, which is Yahawashi in history as well as in prophecy. So this is the version that was tweaked specifically for the Jabari conversation. And it was even added to over the course of the Jabari conversation. So should I? Yeah, this is good. This is good, right? So I start here with 2 John 1:7. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Yahawashi HaMashiach has come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist, right? So we want to just base everything right there in this verse because we understand that people are going to come and denounce Yahawashi came in the flesh, right? Okay, cool. The mainstream scholarly consensus holds that there was a historical Jesus who lived in the 1st century CE Roman Judea and that he was probably both baptized and crucified. This is the overwhelming historical consensus, right? And it's important for us to emphasize that in these instances. Why? Because that is the very thing that people will try to utilize to discredit us. Well, the scholars don't agree with that. Well, in this instance, the scholastic consensus emphatically, overwhelmingly agrees with us. Okay, cool. Virtually all scholars of antiquity dismiss theories of Jesus' non-existence or regard them as refuted. According to New Testament scholar James Dunn, PhD in Biblical Studies at Cambridge, nearly all modern scholars consider the baptism of Jesus and his crucifixion to be historically certain. He states that these two facts in the life of Jesus command almost universal assent and rank so high on the almost impossible to doubt or deny scale of historical facts. They are obvious starting points for an attempt to clarify the what and why of Jesus' mission. Right? The source there at the bottom. These are very important. Right? This nigga is. The level of retardation in this comment, right? The level of retardation. And what's so cold is you're so slow. I've already known what you're getting at the whole time, but you're so slow you can't even actually articulate and compute your point at all, right? AHLAZAR, it's finally, do you understand that you can't precept John 14:6 with Yahweh's law, statute? Look what he said. Look what this idiot said. People adhere to John 14:6. Imagine Joshua, way, truth, and life character historically existed. Why would somebody who lived 1,000 years after the law was given, historic history, be documented in the law? Can you explain how the history would exist of a person 1,000 years before they historically lived?
In depth, for the history in depth.
You're an idiot. Read John 14:6.
St. John chapter 14.
I got a
verse
lot of
6.
idiots in my chat today. Go ahead.
St. John 14:6. Yahawashi said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me.
So he says that this doesn't exist in the law. Okay. If people didn't follow the way of Moses, did they live? No. So that's the way. Moses brought them the law. What's that? The truth. Right? And everyone that didn't follow him did what? Died. So Moses was the way, the truth, and the life already.
Right.
Stupid. The history's right there. Then he told us that one's going to come just like Moses.
Right.
Oh, so it is there, idiot. God damn. I'll take your dumb ass out of my chat. Thank you. All praise you. How about Shem Yahawashi? So, historian Michael Grant, also at Cambridge, these are the most prestigious universities and institutions in the world in all of history, argues that above all, if we applied to the New Testament as we should the same sort of criteria as we should apply to other ancient writings containing historical material, we can no more reject Jesus' existence than we can reject the existence of a mass of pagan personages whose reality as historical figures is never questioned. Right. Wow. I see the source. Right. No, it was crazy. And it spilled over into the debate after party for those of y'all that saw it, right? It's Exodus 23 and 21 about Yahawashi. Let's get that. Now, mind y'all, you know.
Book of Exodus chapter 23, verse 21. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions.
Yeah, the destroyer?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir. He was following us around in that word.
Come.
Yes, sir.
For my name is in him.
See that? So now, when I'm going back and forth here with Jabari, and this is gonna come up. Do I created the slides on it, right? Real quick. Yeah, no. Okay, let me go back up. I'll do that now here. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so no, but I think I put them in the slides though. Live and direct, I put them in the slides. It's all right. I'll just look it up again. It's fine. My fault, y'all. Yeah, so y'all don't see. So what happens is in the Jabari debate, especially Hosea Israel Yahawashi, man, in the Jabari debate, look at this, man. Look at this. Look at the stupidity of this guy. And this is now you're gonna get blocked here, right? Because this is stupidity now. If Josephus talked about Hercules was a real person and placed him on earth with Abraham in historical places, could that be the same with Jesus? Here's the issue. He didn't talk about Hercules as he's a real person. But the point is, just because Hercules, there's a myth about Hercules, that doesn't mean that there couldn't have been somebody named Hercules. This should not be hard for any black person to understand. It's very simple. This only is hard for you to comprehend if you think like a white person, right? What do I mean? There are polarizing characters and figures in our lives, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, people who people tell legends about. Like when Wack 100 said Big U knocked out 30 essays by himself in a riot in prison. There are many people that question that happened. But does that make Big U not real?
Right.
No. It's not hard when you understand how our people communicate.
Right.
How we mythologize things, how we use hyperbole, how we do those things. So it's not hard to understand how a person, when you say the man, the myth, the legend, a person that people tell legends about, that they exaggerate details of because when they witnessed it, it was so impressive. It's not hard to understand this. It only becomes hard when you begin to think like a white person. That's when it becomes hard. Right? Now, please, you've done too much tonight. I timed you out to give you an opportunity to sit back and shut up because now I'm trying to get into the presentation. You want to keep up this uncouth behavior, and now you got to get sparked for it. Right? Now we're talking about what if he talked about Hercules and placed Hercules in history. Well, what would be the problem there if he placed Hercules in history? Would that be an issue? Hercules could have been a real person. You think all these myths that people just invented them? Like, let me just show you this. Like, you don't understand human psychology, right? Let me explain what I mean when I say this, right? I'm gonna bust y'all down. Real good lessons tonight through the Spirit of the Most High. Let's go here. I'm gonna show y'all something, right? Pokemon. You know about Pokemon? Gotta catch them all? Okay, cool, great. The original name of the franchise is Pocket Monsters, which have been commonly abbreviated to Pokemon since its launch. When the franchise was released internationally, the short form of the title was used with an acute accent. Okay, boom. Hold on. Origins, yeah. The main idea behind Pokemon was conceived by Satoshi Tajiri. Tajiri was born, grew up in Makita, a suburb of Tokyo. As a child, he enjoyed discovering and catching insects and other small creatures in various ponds and fields that surrounded his town. Right. So, are Pokemon real? No, but they're based in reality. He took his love for insects and small animals and made a myth about them called Pokemon. Right? So I want to make you to understand how human psychology works. People don't just invent things out of the thin blue sky. There's a basis for everything that people come up with. Right? A basis. But LAX, no, you good because all of this it ties in. And just to show people that a myth doesn't denote something being fictitious, let's go right here to myth is a genre of folklore consisting in primarily of narratives that play a fundamental role in society. For scholars, this is very different from the vernacular usage of the term myth that refers to a belief that is not true. Scholastically, a myth does not indicate truth or fiction, right? That terminology that people use it, oh, that's a myth, to say it's fake, that people use that way. That's newspeak. It's not scholastic. Instead, the veracity of a myth is not defining a criterion. Whether it's true or not is not what a myth is about at all. It doesn't denote either thing. So something being a myth simply does not make it untrue. That's the point, right? That's the point. So that everything has to be, if somebody makes up a lie, it's got to be rooted in some truth. If I say y'all two robbed the bank, you two niggas got to exist in order for the bank to get robbed, right? I can't just, or a bank has to exist in order, something has to be real that you have to draw from in order to create the myth, a lie, a story, anything. It's not hard to understand, man. It's only hard for assholes. That's it. People who just are going out of their way to just try to be difficult and are looking for a plethora of forensic evidence to be left from 4,000 years ago. That simply doesn't exist for anybody. And this is what I'm going back and forth during. If y'all seen it with Jabari, I said Jabari, they're literally, when you look up what is the source of primary evidence for first century Judea, it says Josephus in the New Testament. Those are the primary resources for history in the place in question. He's saying it's not enough, but I'm saying it's literally all that exists. We have nothing else. He said, is it a primary source? I said, it's the primary source. Primarily, this is the source. These are the sources. There's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing else that exists. So again, now you would have to say that nobody existed in first century Judea. You won't say that, but you're just choosing one person who was spoken about, who is always treated to have existed. Okay, right, by secular sources at least, which would matter the most, which would have the most reason to deny its existence.
Exactly.
Where we at? Okay. This is from Tacitus' writings. Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilatus. So that's Tacitus. Attested to it. Okay. Most scholars hold the passage to be authentic and that Tacitus was the author, suggesting that the passage may have been a complete forgery, have been generally rejected by scholars. Scholars such as Bruce Chilton, Craig Evans, Paul Eddy, and George Boyd agree with John Merrier's statement that despite some feeble attempts to show that this text is a Christian interpolation of Tacitus, the passage is obviously genuine. Okay. Scholastic scrutiny. It's passed. This is from Josephus. Around the time lived Jesus, a wise man, for he was a worker of amazing deeds and was a teacher of the people who gladly accept the truth. He won over both many Jews and many Greeks. Pilate, when he heard him accused by the leading men among us, condemned him to the cross. But those who had first loved him did not cease doing so. To this day, the tribe of Christians named after him has not disappeared. Okay, so he's a tester. The primary source. So these are the primary sources for history of the first century Judea, include both literary and archaeological evidence, Josephus' writings, the Antiquities of the Jews, right, and the New Testament. Those are literally the top two sources for first century Judea. There's nothing we can do about this. Those are the sources. This we have, and all of them coincidentally attest to Jesus and his crucifixion. All of the top sources. Okay, cool, great. Also of significance to the traditional Jews, despite its hold on, we're missing a source here. No, it's good. Okay, also of significance to the traditional Jews, despite its late date, is the testimony of Moses Maimonides. in its original form before being edited because of the Catholic Church censors. Maimonides in his law code speaks of Jesus of Nazareth, who aspired to be the Messiah and was executed by the court, going on to explain why he could not be the Messiah, but how despite the false nature of their teachings, Christianity and Islam would still help prepare the world for the knowledge of the one true God. Right? For a religious Jew, this settles the question, since both the Talmud and Maimonides state clearly that Jesus lived and was put to death. In fact, for a traditional Jew, the existence of Jesus has never been questioned. Yet they didn't believe, but they still never questioned the man's existence.
Right. All they're saying is his existence.
He's false.
Yeah, exactly.
They're denying him as far as being righteous in the man
Messiah.
and the Messiah.
Exactly.
But they're never saying
he didn't exist.
He didn't exist.
Exactly. They're just saying
right?
The Messiah wouldn't have died. That's what they're trying to say. Exactly.
We have to ask ourselves, why would rabbinic Jews, firm opponents of Christianity, not utilize the argument that he never existed if he in fact never existed? That'd be the perfect argument. This nigga ain't even real.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't y'all follow him? Right? It'd be like if you think Jordan's the GOAT, LeBron's the GOAT and not Jordan, but Jordan never existed. If Jordan never existed, it would be, wait, Jordan's the GOAT, he wasn't real.
Right.
So LeBron's obviously the GOAT. Because the issue with the Jews was that Jews were following Christ. So again, if they had to make a choice between the two, there's the obvious choice is the one that actually was real, which one in this analogy would be LeBron. Right? But no, Jordan was real. So the argument has to be made. He has to be addressed, assessed. Comparisons have to be made.
Exactly.
Right? Marabar Serapion was a Stoic philosopher from the Roman province of Syria. He is noted for a letter he wrote in Aramaic to his son, who was named Sarperion. Most scholars date it to shortly after 73 AD during the 1st century. He said, what advantage did the Athenians gain from murdering Socrates? Famine and plague came upon them as a punishment for their crime. What advantage did the men of Samos gain from burning Pythagoras? In a moment, their land was covered with sand. What advantage did the Jews gain from executing their wise king? It was just after that their kingdom was abolished. God justly avenged these 3 wise men. The Athenians died of hunger, the Samians were overwhelmed by the sea, and the Jews, desolate and driven from their own kingdom, live in complete dispersion. But Socrates is not dead because of Plato. Neither is Pythagoras because of the statue of Juno, nor is the wise king because of the new law he laid down. Now, granted, it doesn't say the name of Jesus verbatim there, but we know in the New Testament, Jesus is referred to and or recognized as king by the Jews, Christians, and Roman mockers. See John 6:15, Acts 17:7, and John 19:19. Outside of Jesus, there is no reference to the execution of any king, any Jewish king in antiquity. Also, the writer is directly associating the execution of the king with a diaspora, i.e. Jesus, just a few decades before the Jewish-Roman war that left Jewry much dispersed just a few years prior to the letter being written. Give me John 4 real quick. In like 22, 23. Millennium X, Yahawashi, Yahshua, Barakatah, Wathawada. The hour.
Yeah, it's 21. That's what I thought. Yeah, St. John chapter 4, verse 21. Yahawashi said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour comes when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father.
So he's referring to a prophetic hour, which is approximately 42 years. And it was about 42 years after he makes this statement that, of course, we no longer worship at the temple, that the Jewish-Roman wars occur, and that Titus Vespasian does what he does to our temple. And we haven't worshiped in our temple ever since then, that time, right? So that's how there's a direct connection between the diaspora and the killing of Yahawashi. Yahawashi spoke to it, right? Okay. Finally, what other king brought a new law or way of life to the Jews that was met with objection as described here? Furthermore, let's meet Pythagoras, right? The people in question. No authentic writings of Pythagoras have survived. Almost nothing is known for certain about his life. The earliest sources on Pythagoras' life are brief, ambiguous, and often satirical. 3 ancient biographies of Pythagoras have survived from late antiquity, all of which are filled primarily with myths and legends. yet no one questions his existence. Meet Socrates, a Greek philosopher from Athens who was credited as the founder of Western philosophy and among the first moral philosophers of the ethical tradition of thought. Socrates authored no text and is known mainly through the post-humanist accounts of classical writers, particularly his students Plato and Xenophon. Contradictory accounts of Socrates make a reconstruction of his philosophy nearly impossible, a situation known as the Socratic problem. An important historical figure whose only evidence for existence is the writings of a few of his followers, primarily only really two, who was sentenced to death, yet his historicity is never called into question. And Mara Bar Serapion mentions him alongside Pythagoras and Jesus, speaking to the ancient viewpoint that these were real people in history. Point blank, period. Right? Okay. Let's meet Akhenaten. Right? Now, Jabari, to combat what I'm getting ready to say about Akhenaten, right? And I named Akhenaten and I named 3 other pharaohs, right? So I believe he gave evidence for family members of Akhenaten and one of these pharaohs, if I'm not mistaken. He like showed their parents, their wife. Okay, that's cool. Just because they say that their parents, because this is what y'all are saying. Just because they said something, that doesn't make it true. Right. The Akhenaten could have still been a mythos. That could have been the milkman's baby.
Right.
Right? They could have just made the nigga up. There's a movie I'm thinking about. What's the movie I'm thinking about? There's a movie I'm thinking about where is the Northern Kingdom referred to as unicorn, the tribe of Ephraim is. Right, but please, we're dealing with a topic here. Maybe open back up for questions. We gave y'all about an hour of questions.
Y'all wasted.
And it was wasted, and you got, come on. There's a movie I'm thinking about, like where a kid don't know his dad, or his dad is like a piece of shit or something like that. So he just keeps coming with all these legends about his dad, how great his dad is. I'm trying to remember what movie this is. Right? I know Nashar would have it in no time, but guess what? We have a friend, guys. Chat GPT. I'm trying to think of a movie that features a kid who is either has an absentee father or is so disappointed in his father that he consistently makes up legends and stories about his father to make his father seem great. Can you help me out with finding that movie? Big Fish, my own. Boom, let me send it. Come on. Yep, it says Big Fish. Yep. The movie you're thinking of might be Big Fish, directed by Tim Burton. In Big Fish, a son feels disconnected from his father, who is known for telling extravagant and unbelievable stories about his life. As the son grows up, he becomes increasingly frustrated with his father's tales, believing them to be fabrications that have obscured the truth. The film explores the themes of storytelling, legacy, and the relationship between father and son. Right? So, look at Nashar. Nashar's in it. He said, I know that movie. There he is, right? This is important. Why? Because just to show it again, I'm not saying that Akhenaten didn't exist. I'm following the logic of people who are detractors of the existence of Yahawashi, and I'm putting the mirror in front of them. Going, well, wait a minute, we don't got Akhenaten's body. You're telling me he got some alleged family members? Okay, cool. But people will literally fabricate stories, tales, legends about their family for their own security all the time. We see this happen again. Human psychology is very important to never ignore. When we're talking about humans here, are we talking about you? We're not talking about plant life, are we? We're not talking about the animal world, are we? No, we're talking about human beings. So human psychology is always to be factored into the equation, right? So we can't take for granted the fact that they could have fabricated certain people in their history. But no, it's cool. the Egyptians never do it, allegedly, or they stopped doing it so early, and everybody else is just real.
Yeah.
But we can't find some of these niggas. So Akhenaten is famous for his religious revolution, where he introduced the worship of a single god, Aten. His tomb has been found in the royal cemetery at Armana, but his mummy is missing. How do we know he's not an eponymous ancestor?
Right.
Yet his historicity is never called into question. The only evidence of his existence are written or sculpted. So Jabari said, "Oh, well, here are people who are said to be his relatives, so that proves these are his parents." Is there a DNA test that shows that's his parents? But you would need his body to run a DNA test to substantiate who his parents were.
Exactly.
How do I know that those people didn't invent a myth about a guy?
Because they wanted a son the whole time.
You see what I'm
They
saying?
always wanted a son, so they just made up a son.
And then they did a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and then accredited it to their mythological son in the history books.
Exactly.
How do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I can, if I follow your logic to try to discredit the existence of Yahawashi, I can just turn around and do that to you. And I'm doing this to you now just to show you the stupidity in your argumentation.
Yeah.
The same is for Ramses VIII, Amenhotep I, Ahmose I. Where are their bodies? Their existence isn't being called into question. You again showing me alleged family members without the person to prove that it's their family member. You know, people do make fictitious family trees. You do know that, right? That's what you're saying the Bible is, a fictitious family tree, a mythological family tree, that there never was all these people that are written about. Even though tombs exist where they say people who are related to them are buried. What are we talking about? That really be my question. What the hell are we talking about? What's the sister saying? Family mythological stories are so unreliable, it's like phone tag. I'm gonna give you an example.
Phone tag, telephone.
Telephone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example. My pops told me that his pops went into the army because he stabbed a white boy that the white boy stole his clothes at a swimming pool and he poked him. But I got the newspaper article. My grandpa bumped into him and then poked him just walking down the street. We went to the street. Well, I've been to the street, right? But he just bumped into him. They got into it. He poked the white boy. Boom.
Yeah.
Right? But the way it was passed down to me was it was something at a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Now, if you understand what was going on in the South, swimming pools were typical places for racial violence to occur.
Yeah.
When it was an integration or there was just a pool and then the blacks and whites both have to go to the same pool, there was a lot of problems that would be happening at them swimming pools. That's historically documented, right? What'd you say? You had something?
Yeah, exactly.
We know about. So he told me that, but see, that's the family myth. He said that, and that wasn't. Did my grandfather stab the white man? For sure, this is documented, right? This is documented, but the circumstances weren't exactly how it was recounted to me. But we, good grace Moses, we have all the documents, right? So I remember SICARRI used to get a lot of views, but SICARRI is still going strong because it isn't about the money or views. Haters gonna hate. Well, brother, you got to understand that YouTube is taking all our channels down, brother, and then they're suppressing right now, right? So people's notifications are going out. It's okay, brother. We've been here before. We just power through it in the spirit. It's all right. This happens. Right? It's not the first time. Probably won't be the last. I seen this brother on Ancestry that allegedly traces lineage back to King David and the old patriarch. Yeah, no, he didn't trace his lineage back to King David and the old patriarch. If you are a product of the transatlantic slave trade, you are going to hit a slave wall at one point or another in your lineage. You're just going to, unless your ancestry is white. That's the only way you're not hitting slave walls. is if your ancestry is white. Right? What's interesting, I'm gonna tell you what's interesting about the lineage of Mexico. The Mexicans who have the deepest, many of them that have the deepest trail of lineage actually trace themselves back to black people that came to Mexico. Know multiple brothers who, hey, they look like your average Mexican. When they trace their lineage back, they foreparents are black people that came to Mexico. Right? And a brother had put me on a Ashar car. He put me on to that when he started doing the research. Then I started encountering more people who's doing their own research and finding the same thing out. Right? A lot of the indigenous Mexicans, that the lineage don't go back that far because the indigenous was not keeping their records like that. But the ones who go back to Esau and go back to Southern Kingdom that came in there have deeper lineage. Right? Very interesting. But if 9 times out of 10, right? He said the mesosection. What you mean the mesosection? I'm not familiar with that term. So, what I was gonna say, about the ancestry, you're gonna hit a wall 9 times out of 10. You're gonna hit a wall, right? You to go back to King David, please. Be for real. Be for real. Mesoamerica. Well, even the part that's not Mesoamerica, you get in the upper Mexico, that's not Mesoamerica. All praises. Well, let's keep going. Now I use Malachi York, right? Because look at him. This is the picture I like to make fun of him with because this is just the sweetest picture, right?
Yeah.
He about sweet as I don't even know what. Right here.
Softest charming tissue. What they say.
So, because I use this here to dismiss the idea that just because there's a myth about somebody that it invalidates their actual existence, right? It says, believed to be from the astronomically unfounded planet Risk. It's from a make-believe planet. His vehicle of transportation from his home of Risk to Earth is believed to be the well-documented comet Bennett, right? So apparently he rode in from a planet that we don't know exists on a comet. But the comet was real. We know that, right? All the while, we don't know whether he rode the comet, but we know there was a comet. All the while, he also claims to somehow descend from a Sudanese Islamic political leader, Muhammad Ahmad, an Egyptian Moor, all while being Native American. So he's a Native American, Egyptian Moorish, Sudanese Islamic political leader from the planet Risk. Okay.
They flew into Earth on a comet.
On the comet. None of the myths about him dismiss his existence. We know that. He's currently in federal prison.
You're right.
In the Supermax for the largest child molestation case in American history. What are we talking about? We know that. Okay. So I want to take a look at this too. Dealing with Tacitus because they try to, this is dealing with, because Jabari actually espouses many of the ideologies of Richard Carey, who I debated last year, which made this much easier for me because I just had to tweak my presentation against Carrier a little bit through the Spirit. What Carrier says is, and Jabari reiterates is, well, Tacitus, he was reporting on something that he believed to be true based off of what he heard about Jesus, not what he knew. Watch this. I remember hearing this, Tacitus now. I remember hearing my elders say that a certain document was often seen in Piso's hands, which he never made public. This document, his friends averred, was a dispatch from Tiberius containing instructions with regard to Germanicus. Piso had intended to produce it before the Senate and thereby convict the emperor, but Sejanus put him off with empty promises. It was said that Piso did not die by his own hand, but by that of an executioner. I cannot affirm the truth of either story, but I feel bound not to withhold statements made by persons who were still alive in the days of my own youth. Tacitus accredits nothing whatever beyond the fact that he had heard certain old men tell certain things. He distinctly refuses to accredit anything else. So when he hears a rumor, if he reports it, he gives a disclaimer that this is not factual. This is only based off of rumor and innuendo. Right? So here we have a clear example of how Tacitus handles hearsay. He affirms that he has no proof beyond the rumors that swirl. If Dr. Carrier's position were accurate as to Tacitus' source for the life and crucifixion, he would have said something similar, but he doesn't. But he doesn't. Right? He talks about the life and crucifixion of Yahawashi matter of factly. Okay? Let's go back to this is from Answering Jewish Objections to Jesus, right? By my dear friend Dr. Michael Brown, and then he of course cites Antiquities by Josephus. The question is, are these reports total or complete forgeries, or are they embellishments of the actual words of Josephus? The scholarly consensus, both Jewish and Christian, points to the latter, recognizing that Josephus did in fact have something to say about Jesus. The statements largely recognized as authentic are found in his Antiquities 29:1-200, where he speaks on the high priest Ananias bringing Jacob or James, whom he calls the brother of Jesus, called Christ, before the Sanhedrin. Wait, he's not real, but he has a brother? Now, his argumentation was, oh, wait a minute, man. Akhenaten got family. Well, Jesus got a brother. They said, is not this the carpenter's son? It's Mark 6:3. The son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joseph, and of Judah, and Simon. Are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. So we see here him having identifiable nuclear family. Now look at this, Galatians 1:19. But others of the apostles saw I none save James, the Lord's brother. Now, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus provides one of the earliest non-Christian references to James. In his work Antiquities of the Jews, Josephus mentions the execution of James, describing him as the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ. This passage is generally accepted by scholars as authentic and provides independent historical corroboration of James' existence and his association with Jesus. So not only do we have an attestation to the crucifixion of Yahawashi, we also have attestation, right, outside of the Bible to the execution of his brother James, right? Now, we're going to deal with how they try to discredit. See, they think they got an angle for everything, right? They think they got an angle for everything. And now what they do is, I mean, yeah, it says he got a brother, but brother doesn't really mean brother. We'll deal with that momentarily, right? Let's keep going. Paul. So one of, and this is another theory of Carrier's that he has forwarded that Jabari has espoused, is that Paul is the earliest writings. And I need everybody to understand something when they tell you this. If you're going to engage scholastically, you definitely have to concede that Paul's epistles are the earliest Christian writings. What does that mean? As far as the documents that have been recovered, those date back the farthest. That doesn't make them the earliest Christian writings, right? For example, if I got a notebook and I write a bunch of stuff in a notebook, right, and then I copy it in another notebook, but the first one I wrote in, I lost it. It got put in the trash and we never seen it again. And I found the other one, the later one. That doesn't mean it was the first one that was written. It just means that was the one that was found. And most of these, of course, is before the advent of the printing press. People are writing this stuff down. These things get lost. This is 2,000 years ago. You lose shit in your house. You tear your house up. Now, come on, how long was your ID lost in my couch?
No, that's so crazy. That's a great example.
Like 3 months.
Easy.
3 months, we looked everywhere. We couldn't find his ID. We going to move out of my damn house and stumble upon it. But you mean to tell me niggas wrote on a piece of paper, a parchment, 2,000 years ago, and it's far-fetched that we can't find the first time the nigga wrote it down? People, literally, you have to omit all logic to believe this stuff these people say. You have to just throw it out the your life experience that you know, that you've seen, that you've watched, it has to just go out the window to believe some of this crap, right? So yes, technically, when you take a look at the body of the New Testament, technically the oldest of what they found is Paul. That don't make Paul prime. It doesn't, right? But Carrier asserts that, hey, Paul, he's the first writer, and he never talks about Jesus as if he says he never places him on earth in history, is what he says. So we're going to analyze that. In Romans 15:8, now I say that Jesus Christ was a minister of the circumcision for the truth of God to confirm the promise made unto the fathers. Dr. Carrier claims that Paul says Jesus never taught the Jews, that Paul doesn't mention his ministry. This is all claims that Carrier made. And he doesn't place him in history. The above verse debunks all 3 points. To say that Yahawashi was a minister of the circumcision, that's what Paul refers to the Jews when he says of the circumcision. To confirm the truth, it confirms that he has a ministry in history and he taught the Jews. Okay, cool. In order to have a ministry, you have to minister. The circumcision is the Jews. You can't minister to the Jews without a ministry to the Jews, which he had. Okay, cool. More on this. This is 1 Corinthians 11:23-27. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. So he's on earth. He's talking about a time in history. It was a night that he was betrayed and he took bread. Interesting. And when he had given thanks, he thanked God for the bread that he took, a physical thing. He broke it and said, take and eat, handed it out. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do you in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, he saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. Paul is clearly referring to the Last Supper, an event in human history. You know this, Dr. Carrier. You know this. You know the thing that Dr. Carrier says Paul never places Jesus in, which is in actuality a Passover meal. He was crucified on that day, just like the Talmudic historic sources say. So he literally is placing him eating the Passover. This is a place in human history. Okay. More on this. Romans 1:3, concerning his son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which is made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Wait. This corresponds with Matthew 1, calling him the son of David, as well as giving him a genealogy directly linked to David of Joseph, the same Joseph Jesus is called the son of in John 1:45 and Luke 2:48. Galatians 4:4. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. 1 Timothy 6:13, I gave thee charge in the sight of God, who quickeneth all things, and before Christ Jesus, who Pontius Pilate witnessed a good confession. So he's placing him in history, interacting with a well-known historical figure, Pontius Pilate. Right? Of 1 Corinthians, also real quick, when you do this term made of a woman in the Bible, it's only ever talking about a human being. Yeah. That's what it means, made of a woman. Okay. I'll make sure I hit that. 1 Corinthians 15 rather, 4-6. And that he was buried and that he rose again the third day. So you got to be buried on earth. Okay, cool. According to the scriptures. And that he was seen, people saw him, of Cephas. Then the 12. This is in history, interacting with human beings. After that, he was seen of above 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater parts remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. Paul's reference to 500 people seeing Christ at once make it apparent that he indefinitely is placing Christ in human history on the planet Earth and not in outer space. He clearly believes that the eyewitness testimony of the men there who he affirms are still alive, inferring that he heard this testimony of this event himself. So according to Paul, Jesus was born, had a dad, a mom, a brother, a ministry to the Jews, ate Passover, went before the established historical figure Pontius Pilate, died, was buried, then was seen by 500 people at once. But Dr. Rich here says Paul never places him in human history or even believes him to have been a man that walked the earth. So brother of Jesus simply means a baptized follower of Jesus. This is their position. It's a layman ranking, if you will, in the church, opposed to the chief ranking of apostle, you say. That's what he says. Okay. Have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as of the brethren of the Lord and Cephas? It's 1 Corinthians 9:6. So let's analyze the way these people are listed in their verse. First, there is a qualification of apostles, then the brothers of the Lord. Then lastly, we see Cephas, who we know is an apostle. This lets us know that everyone on that list is considered an apostle. But according to Jabari, a brother of the Lord is a rank in the church underneath apostles and has no actual bearing on biological relationship to Jesus. We've now determined that's wrong. Paul is clearly acknowledging there in 1 Corinthians that Jesus is in fact has biological brethren, as we also see affirmed in the Gospel of Mark, further proving Jesus was an actual person in history. He existed, right? Boom. So that's 50 slides. So those were the 50 slides, and again, those were an augmented version of what I dealt with Richard Carrier on, specifically for Jabari. First, I had a version just for Jabari going into it. Then it evolved through the Spirit of the Most High as the debate went on. Because those of y'all ain't see, it was the first time where we did a 3-on-1. First time we did 3-on-1. So Elder Yara went, Sister Nepal went, then I went. So I'm hearing him go 2 rounds with the others before it's my turn. So boom, I'm going in and I'm tweaking the presentation to fit the arguments that he's making, the talking points, you know. And I had to open back because I didn't think he was going to be a Richard Carrier ideology spewer. I didn't think that. So once he did that, I just opened it back up and was like, all right, boom, I'm finna just, you know, add more of this information I already used against Carrier here, even though I kind of had amended it initially because I just didn't think that he was going to do that. But he did. Our brother did, you know, but that's that. I was going to get into the throne presentation, but it's definitely it's drawing late here. So Lord willing, we'll get into that again soon. Again, guys, Trumpets is coming up Monday night, this new moon. Look for some powerful stuff. Look for some very powerful stuff coming. I do have to plug one more time. Tonight's sponsor, vibeskingdom.com. The link is tagged there in the description. Vibekingdoms.com. Man, brother, got all kind of stuff here. This jersey I got on, you got the orange version, the black and gold version. Dope stuff over there, man. Vibes with a Z, kingdom.com, man. Get all your Hebrew Israelite apparel over there from that brother. There is our exclusive information right there, Gorilla TV or CZY.network. You're interested in joining, that's the join email, donation information there. Follow at Gorilla Hebrew on all platforms, man. We signing out, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawashi, Yahawashi, saying shalom.
Shalom.